No! The Europa League is back.
Yeah, boy.
The 2025-26 Europa League season is finally here, and once again, I'm going to be giving you guys my predictions for every single match day. In today's video, I'm going to be predicting the results of every single match in the first match day of the Europa League phase. And obviously, if you guys agree with my predictions, remember to leave a comment down below. But if you disagree, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you will, remember to leave your predictions down below and I'll be sure to reply to every single comment. If you guys want to go check out my last video where I ranked the top 10 ugliest football kits for this season, there will be a link in the description down below. And obviously, if you're excited for this video and the upcoming Europa League predictions, remember to leave a like. But without further ado, let's get right into these predictions. Starting off with the first game, we got FC Midtjylland against Sturm Graz. Both of these teams have had pretty good starts in the domestic leagues, but they haven't been flawless, and both teams have shown signs of weaknesses in their recent fixtures. They have been playing pretty good, but both of these teams have lost games within their last 5. For that reason, I do think Midtjylland have the advantage because obviously they are playing in Denmark, but I'm going to predict this game to end in a 2-2 draw. The next game we got is PAOK Thessaloniki against Maccabi Tel Aviv. I feel like in general, whenever an Israeli team plays in these UEFA competitions, they are at a disadvantage because they don't have a home stadium. They are not being played in Israel. So there is always a disadvantage with these teams that are from Israel. But with that being said, I do think PAOK are the better team. Now, at the current time of recording this video, they did lose their last game 4-1, which was a very poor result. But in this game, with the home advantage, I think they're going to win 1-0. The next game we got is Braga against Feyenoord. Braga are a decent team. We have seen them in the Champions League within the last few years, and we've also seen them in these other UEFA competitions. But coming up against Feyenoord, I don't think Braga stand a chance. Feyenoord have been incredible so far in the Eredivisie, and even though they have been suffering from a few injuries so far from their first 5 matches, they have won every single match, and pretty convincingly as well. For that reason, even though Braga have the home advantage, I'm going to predict that Feyenoord will still be able to win this game 3-1. Moving on to the next match, we have Dinamo Zagreb against Fenerbahce. Fenerbahce are usually a very good team in these UEFA competitions. In my opinion, I do think they are the better team in this fixture against Dinamo Zagreb. But so far in the Turkish Super League, they haven't had the best start. They've already fallen behind to Galatasaray, and they obviously sacked their manager, Jose Mourinho. I do think Fenerbahce are the better team, but with some of their inconsistencies recently, and with the fact that they just recently sacked their manager, including the fact that a couple of their good attackers are going to be missing this game due to either injury or suspension, I do think Dinamo Zagreb can actually get a result from this fixture. It's going to be a very close game, but I'm going to predict it ends in a 1-1 draw. Moving on to the next game, we have Red Star Belgrade against Celtic. Celtic are in rough shape at the moment. Yes, they are at the top of the Premiership, but in the Champions League qualification, we saw them lose against Kairat Almaty, the Kazakhstani team who ended up making it into the Champions League, beating Celtic. Now, obviously, both of the games did end in a 0-0 draw, but they ended up losing on penalties, and that's why Celtic are playing in the Europa League. On the other hand, if you look at Red Star Belgrade, at the time of recording this video, in their past 2 matches, they have scored 12 goals. Like, what? 12 goals in 2 matches? Are you mad? For that reason, with Celtic struggling to score recently and with Red Star Belgrade scoring 12 goals in their last 2 matches, I think this is going to be a high scoring game. I do think both teams will be able to score multiple goals, but I'm going to predict that Red Star Belgrade will upset Celtic and win 3-2. Moving on to the next game, we have Freiburg against Basel. Normally, I would say that Freiburg are the better team. They are a pretty good team in the Bundesliga, and I've always been a fan of them. But so far this season, they have not looked good, and they've already lost 2 games in the Bundesliga. Basel are a decent team, and they can definitely give some teams trouble. And in this fixture, I don't think it will be easy for Freiburg, but with the home advantage, I am going to back them and say that they will win this game 1-0. The next game we got is Malmo against Ludogorets. Once again, both of these teams have been a little bit inconsistent recently, and especially Malmo, who I usually think of as a very good team in the Swedish league. But so far, especially in recent matches, they haven't been performing that good, and they've been drawing a lot of games. But with that being said, obviously Malmo do have the home advantage, and another advantage they have is in the Swedish league, they are currently midway through the season. They've already played 23 games in the season. So they have a lot more experience playing and they're already warmed up. Whereas a team like Ludogorets have only started the season recently. For this reason, and again with the home advantage, I'm going to predict Malmo to win this game 2-1. The next game we got is Nice against Roma. This is definitely one of the more anticipated fixtures in the Europa League matchday, but in my opinion, I don't see any way that Nice will be able to win this game. Roma have undergone a lot of changes, including their manager and some of their new signings. But if you look at Nice in the Ligue 1, they have been horrible. They currently, after 4 games played, have only won 2 and they lost the other 2 games. And in the Champions League qualification, they were shocking. We saw them lose 2-0 against Benfica, both at home and away. And Benfica are a team that are struggling. They just recently sacked their manager. I don't think Nice has a chance against Roma. For that reason, I'm going to predict that Roma will win this game 3-1. And finally, the last match on Wednesday is Real Betis against Nottingham Forest. It's been a minute since we've seen Nottingham Forest in these UEFA competitions, and I was very excited for them at the end of last season. I thought that they could definitely have a pretty deep run in this Europa League, but so far this season has not started off how they would have liked. And obviously they did sack their manager and they ended up hiring Ange Postecoglou. And we all know Ange Postecoglou, how obviously he won the Europa League last season with Tottenham. But this season, after already losing their first cup match against Swansea, where they were up 2-0 and Swansea City ended up coming back, beating Nottingham Forest 3-2. That was a horrible first game for Ange Postecoglou. With that being said, Real Betis haven't been that good either. They have drawn a lot of games recently. They haven't been on good form. But with the home advantage, I don't think Nottingham Forest will be able to beat Real Betis. So I'm going to predict a 2-2 draw. Moving on to the next match, we have Go Ahead Eagles against FCSB. FCSB have been a very good team in UEFA competitions, and we have seen them upset a lot of bigger teams in recent years. But at the current moment, I don't think they look good at all. If we look at their first 9 games in the Romanian league, they have only won 1 game. They have drawn 4 and they lost the other 4 games, which is very, very poor for a team like FCSB, who are arguably the most popular team in the Romanian league. With that being said, Go Ahead Eagles haven't been the best either. They've been drawing a lot of games, but at least they've been able to score a decent amount of goals. When on the other hand, FCSB just plainly haven't been good at all. With the home advantage, I can only see Go Ahead Eagles winning this game 2-0. The next game we got is Lille against Brann. To be honest, I don't know much about this team Brann. They're from the Norwegian league, and they have actually been doing pretty good in that league. After 20 games, they currently sit in 3rd place. And they look like a decent team, but coming up against Lille, a very experienced team, a team that always plays good in the Liga, they usually do pretty good in these UEFA competitions. I think Lille will pretty comfortably win this game. I'm going to predict Lille to win this game 3-0. The next match we got is Aston Villa against Bologna. Honestly, Villa have been shocking this season. They have been so bad. And after their first 4 matches, they still haven't gotten a win. They only got 2 points from their first 4 matches. And currently they sit near the bottom of the Premier League table. Now, not to say that Bologna has been doing good either, but at least they've gotten a win, which Aston Villa haven't been able to do. I think a lot of people would back Aston Villa in this game, but in my opinion, with the horrible form that they're on, I think it's going to end in a draw. The next game we got is FC Utrecht against Lyon. I feel like FC Utrecht might be a team where when they're playing at home, they may be able to upset some of these bigger teams. But in this game against Lyon, I just don't see it happening. Lyon have been pretty good so far this season. They've already gotten a few wins under their belt and they currently do sit in the top 4 in the Liga. And obviously, even though they did lose a lot of very good players this summer, and I feel like in recent years, they have lost a lot of important players, they still are a very good team. I think it's going to be a good game between both sides, but I'm going to predict Lyon to win this game 2-1. The next game we got is Ferencvaros against Victoria Pilsen. Victoria Pilsen are one of those teams where in recent UEFA competitions, they have been able to get pretty good results from some of these bigger teams. In saying this, Ferencvaros haven't been the best recently, and in the Champions League qualifiers, we did see them miss out on the Champions League because they did lose at home 3-1 against Karabag FK. But with the home advantage in this game, I don't think they're going to make the same mistakes they did against Karabag. So for that reason, I'm going to predict a 2-0 win for Ferencvaros. Moving on to the next match, we got Rangers against Genk. The downfall of Rangers needs to be studied. There's no way that after 5 games in the Premiership, you still haven't gotten a win. Rangers are usually one of the better teams in the Premiership. Obviously, usually it's between Rangers and Celtic for who wins that competition. But so far, from their first 5 matches, they have drawn 4 of them and they lost 1. For some reason, in my opinion, this game has gotten a 0-0 draw written all over it. The next game we got is Salzburg against FC Porto. Honestly, Porto have looked pretty good this season. I feel like within the last year or two in the Portuguese league, they haven't really been at their best. But so far this season, they look a lot better. And from their first 5 matches, they have won every single game. And they've only conceded 1 goal so far. For that reason, I think this is going to be a very high scoring game. I think both teams could score multiple goals in this game. But me personally, I do think FC Porto are on too good form to lose this game against Salzburg. So for that reason, I'm going to predict Porto to win this game 3-2. Moving on to the next game, we got VfB Stuttgart against Celta Vigo. Honestly, plain and simple, both of these teams have started off the season horribly. If you look at Celta Vigo in their last 5 matches, they have not won a single game. But Stuttgart in their last 5 matches have lost 3 of those games and they've only won 1 of them. So both of these teams have been shit. But with the home advantage, I think they're going to slightly edge it against Celta Vigo. I think this could easily end in a 1-1 draw. But for some reason, something is telling me that Stuttgart are just going to be able to get it done. And I think they're going to beat Celta Vigo 2-1. And finally, the last match we got is Young Boys against Panathinaikos. Honestly, Young Boys are a decent team. We see them a lot in the Europa League, and they're actually not a bad team. I always remember when they famously beat Manchester United, which was absolutely crazy. But even in general, they have the capability. They have a lot of good talent in that squad. Obviously, Panathinaikos are also not a bad team, but they haven't been on their best form recently, whereas Young Boys have been winning majority of their recent matches. Young Boys were also very good in the Champions League qualification, where they ended up beating Slovan Bratislava in both home and away fixtures. And with the home advantage in this game, I do think they will be able to beat Panathinaikos 3-1. And that is the end of this video. Those were my Europa League predictions for the first match day in the league phase. If you guys agree with my predictions, remember to leave a comment down below. But obviously, if you disagree with my predictions, remember to leave your predictions down below and I'll be sure to reply to every single comment. And obviously, if you did enjoy this video, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos.